Look, grind hard, well done, sir, and welcome to the freaking Well Show.
What's going on, guys? Romer the Romer here. I'm here with Chris Winans again, and we're going to talk more about his story. He's a super interesting guy, badass. You're not a CPA.
No,
You don't consider
I'm an
yourself
EA. Yeah, so I'm an enrolled agent. So my license is with the IRS.
that? Okay. And you're also an EMT, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I worked for the Maryland State Police on the helicopter for quite a while as a flight paramedic.
Okay. And so wait, are you still an EMT?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So like, what's your week look like? Just like how much time do you dedicate to us?
Sure.
Doing taxes.
So it's busy, right? The accounting practice is growing, and it's growing pretty aggressive, and so that's pulling more and more time away from everything else. But I hustle, and I'm working just as hard as you guys are with a bunch of different things. My wife and I have a business, and we have a 7-year-old, and I have an accounting practice, and a lot of the other things that I'm doing. So my week doesn't consist of a lot of sleep.
Yeah. And you're taking this approach as more like an entrepreneur when it comes to being an EA.
Yeah.
More so than others, right?
I'm taking a little bit of a different approach, right? There's a lot of accountants out there, and I'm not really doing anything that's super novel. I guess my goal in working with clients is to take a really proactive, ongoing approach to a relationship rather than you seeing your tax person once a year, right? I want us to talk. I want us to talk throughout the year, because the more we talk, the more opportunities come up for tax savings, right? Just you and I talking, and right, we just finished a conversation where we get to tweak your approach to business a little bit more. It's going to save you time, money, effort in January. We don't get that if you're worried about me charging you by the hour for consultation, right? We just need to have a conversation.
Gotcha. Have you always been like a numbers guy?
Yeah, I was always a science guy.
Okay.
And so my education is in biology and biochemistry. And I just kind of stumbled into, the finance and the accounting industries, through just life being interesting. Right?
Gotcha. So what was your first job?
I was a lifeguard at a city pool in Broomfield, Colorado.
With would you say biochemistry?
Oh, so yeah. So
okay.
Lifeguard was in high school.
Okay. Gotcha.
My first job, adult job, was as a paramedic in Denver,
Okay.
on the ambulance while I was going to college.
Gotcha. Is that just like a 4-year degree? And then.
Yeah, I squeezed 4 years into 5.5. And then I'm not using my degree at all right at the moment.
Yeah, same. I got a psychophysiology degree.
Yeah. Yep.
Now I'm selling books full time.
Exactly.
Well, so would you consider yourself like an entrepreneur at heart?
I think the entrepreneurial mindset was learned for me a little bit later in life. I wish that someone taught me the value of business development and business ownership earlier. So I'm the oldest of 4 boys, and we've all walked our way into business ownership and entrepreneurial kind of mindsets, but we learned that later on in life. And so I look back and I'm like, man, we had 10 years where I was just the straightforward W-2 employee, punching in, punching out. And I look back on that as, we could have done so much different if I'd had known about growing a business.
Yeah, it really changes your mindset. Like, especially once you make money like passively. Like I know you're working on some pretty cool softwares.
Mm-hmm.
Like making money that way. Like I make affiliate money from these YouTube videos, and it's like that's not my intention, but it happens, and now that it's happening, I'm like, holy shit! Like that was the easiest money.
Yeah, there's nothing better than going to bed and waking up wealthier than you were the night before.
Yeah,
there's just nothing better than that.
So what's your game plan? I mean, you can get into as much detail or as little detail as you want, but like you want to scale this business like pretty big. Right?
So my goal is kind of enterprise level development with the accounting practice. In doing so, you have to have different lines of business. Serving the Amazon sellers is a really interesting and intriguing opportunity for me as a business owner. But truthfully, there's a huge need, right? It's an underserviced area. It's an underserviced market. and there's a lot of value that can be provided for anyone from the startup to the huge seller. We can make a difference in their bottom line and their business development across the board.
This is just like the money man in me talking right now, but I'm thinking like, okay, when I sell books, I want to sell textbooks because they're the most expensive books. For clients, wouldn't you just want to work with like the top dollar, like highest client to make more money? Like, what's the benefit of working with because it seems like it'd be almost more stress working with a bunch of smaller people.
So I think a lot of that has to do with how I develop sort of the back office side of my business, and being able to provide value to the low level seller, right, who's just starting out, is really powerful. And I mean, most businesses, you build a pyramid, right? You can't always work with the peak performers because that's a really small market. And so you have to have a really wide, diversified base. And if you're doing it right, you're coaching and training and developing these startup businesses, and they keep progressing up those tiers. And if you're providing value along the way, they stick with you for the long haul.
Gotcha. Has this been your most successful business so far?
Yes. So it's been fun. This has been 3 years of a grind, and we are gaining traction and momentum. And so it's really satisfying to sit back and see kind of the fruits of 3 really, really hard years of just work and no sleep and just continuing to hustle.
Was there any time where you had like an entrepreneurial adventure where you just ate complete shit?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
My first year, I was 6 or 7 months into the business, and that was just a year of experiments and mistakes. And so I don't have a very big natural market. And so my goal is to find as many people as possible and talk to as many as I can. And I bought a LinkedIn marketing package from a guy who touts, oh yeah, I'm going to bring all these people to you and high conversion rates and everything else.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any money at all. And
I get like 5 of those DMs a day.
Yeah. And I stroked a check for $15,000 and I got one client out of it. And that was my biggest mistake of the first year that I was in business. I didn't have the money and I spent it.
Man, that's rough. Yeah. I get a lot of those where, I mean, I'm sure he was pretty convincing.
Oh yeah, he's phenomenal salesman. In fact, he touched base with me here recently and almost sold me again.
He's like, "Did we get 2?
Yeah,
did I double you?"
Yeah. and so he's a phenomenal salesman. But what I've found is my business grows through personal relationships, and so sitting down and talking with you, and then you go and tell your friends, right?
Exactly.
That's the way to grow a business most effectively, at least in my experience.
Yeah, that's what I found too. It's been networking. Mm-hmm. That's what's allowed me to scale to this point. Like meeting you, I was thinking about it today because like I'm able to go on this trip now and make money the whole time.
Yep.
And it's really just from networking at these turn the page events.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Heidi, I met her at the first turn the page event. Just interviewed with her, and she's given me like countless tips too on online arbitrage. I haven't implemented a whole lot of them, but I've definitely made more money because of that. Met you in Vegas, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And now I have a tax guy, and I'll probably make $10 from this YouTube video.
Yeah, there we go.
Just networking's key. What so where do you see yourself going forward? Like what, like besides networking, like you have to, because thinking about your business, like you really have to have some pretty good systems in place to kind of like step back.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And is that part of the reason why you want to keep it like niche? Are you wanting to keep it niche down with Amazon sellers, or are you branching out to like other types of clients?
So I have kind of a diversified client base. This is a really deliberate niche pursuit for me. And I think the key to success in this niche, much like your business, is automate and maximize efficiencies however possible. Yeah. So with respect to that niche, right, I'm in the process of developing some things that make everybody's life easier, and it results in some really reproducible high fidelity numbers. So we can track your income, track your expenses. It populates everything into an income statement, so we know where we sit all the time. That's key to my success in this niche. But I also have just individual tax return clients, right? And other businesses that I work with as well. Because banking on any one niche in my world is kind of a dangerous risk.
Right. Yeah. What's the craziest story you've had just tax wise?
So it's amazing how bad some people are at filing their taxes, right? I have a couple of people that have come to me and they haven't filed taxes in 10 plus years, and they have businesses and employees on payroll. And so that's a really, really important thing. I've got clients with hundreds of thousands of dollars in back taxes owed. Right. It would keep us up at night. It keeps me up at night, and they just approach us. It happens. And so it's really interesting for me to interact with different personalities, and some are super stressed about the smallest thing, and then others owe hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, and that's not a big deal.
I know I have the personality to be that second guy.
Yeah.
That's why I'm trying to like hop on it now.
Yeah, stay on top of it because it's not fun, right? The IRS is not a nice group of people.
I've heard, I was watching this one conspiracy theory, and it said the IRS, you shouldn't pay them.
Oh, really? So they are one of the
stealing money.
Yeah, they are one of the very few agencies that can reach in your bank account and take it.
Yeah,
and they will do it. So it's better to stay in their good graces.
What if I open a bank where they can't do it?
They're pretty good at finding people.
Yeah. What's the craziest story EMT wise that you've dealt with?
So in that world, right, I've seen a lot of really, really cool things. I've seen a lot of really, really sad things. The funnest thing for me was being there when babies were born, right? And I can't say I had any, or I delivered any babies, because the woman there is delivering the baby, but I got to play a part in that. And so it's always fun to be there when a new life kind of comes into the world and just be a part of that whole process.
That's something that blows my mind. Like sometimes like people like hype me up, like, oh, you've done this and that with business, blah, blah, blah. And like, I've seen other people do great things with business, but then like I'll walk down the street and I'll just see a baby. I'd be like, well, someone made that.
Yeah.
Like that's way crazier.
Yeah.
Like, it's way cooler.
Super scary. Super scary.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. It's like you can build a whole business, but I don't know. It's never, I don't know. Just like a human being being able to like make that.
There's nothing more humbling than knowing that you could completely screw someone up for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Because you're responsible.
That's why I want to have 5 kids, just in case. Right?
Diversify the risk. There we go.
I got to get one right at least. So as time goes on, you're focusing on 2 things right now. As time goes on, and you're a dad, and you're a husband, you're doing all these things. Literally all I do is like make videos, sell books, and salsa dance. Like, and that's enough for me right now. I don't see how you do it. Just like career wise, and just like where you focus your time. Do you plan on like choosing one or the other over time, or do you plan on doing both for a while? Like, how's that?
So the accounting practice is what will afford a quality of life for my family, right? Medicine and working as a paramedic and everything else is fun. I really, really enjoy that. What I see happening is as the business grows, that hobby will kind of phase out, and the accounting practice will allow me to spend a lot more time with my family, and I get to take on more of a management oversight role rather than day-to-day kind of nose to the grindstone.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why we all do what we do, selling books, is 99% of my audience watching this. I'm trying to diversify my audience too, get like different people. But right now, it's mainly booksellers, and we do it for freedom. You know, it's not the sexiest thing, selling books, but I mean, if you build a big book business, ideally that you can sell, make it, you build it in a way that you can sell it, or just have it as a money generator. We don't do it because we love books, unless you're Katie Reed's. We do it because, you know, it frees up time. So.
Yeah, it affords options, and then options are, I think, the ultimate success. Right? You get to choose what you want to do when you want to do it. It doesn't matter what you choose, but just having the ability to choose is really powerful.
I've heard once, never take business advice from a CPA. What do you think about that?
Knowing a lot of CPAs, right, and I'm in the market and I'm buying accounting practices,
Yeah.
I would probably say, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you get to see sort of behind the curtain of CPAs and accounting practices, and these are the people that are giving you advice, but they're really bad at taking their own advice.
Yeah.
I guess you put those blinders on.
Yeah.
And you can't see your own dirty laundry.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's interesting. Tax strategy, tax planning, they're good for it. But I'm of the opinion you don't take advice from any one person, right? Talk to a lot of people and pick and choose. And you really have to match that to what you're doing and who you are.
Yeah. Like just from life experience, like would you say you've been trusting your gut, or have you gone against your gut, or like up until this point, like what got you here? Is it like following what's going on down here?
Yeah. So everybody's got the little voice and the spidey sense in the back of their head. And regardless of what job I'm in, when I ignore that little voice in the back of my head, things go poorly.
Yeah.
Truly, right? In medicine and healthcare, I can remember very distinctly times where I've sort of silenced or suppressed that voice.
Yeah.
And that was a mistake. The LinkedIn example that I told you about earlier, the voice was going, I shouldn't do this. I forced it and it cost me a fortune. And so I think there's a lot to be said for intuition and sort of that gut instinct. But make sure it's informed and acknowledge when you don't know enough to make that decision, and seek out the additional resources that you need to make an educated decision.
Yeah. I've been out of college for 2 years now, and I've been following my gut the whole way.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah. There's something to be said for just kind of pushing through, right? And it's not, everybody's going to get knocked down. Everybody's going to make mistakes. It's really surprising how few people just keep getting back up, right?
Do you see a lot of that just from like working with clients? Because you're more like literally like behind the scenes in their business. Mm-hmm. You really see what's going on. Like, is that something you notice with your clients? Like, do you ever get gut feelings about your clients? Like, I'm not going to make it.
Yeah. And a lot of it has nothing to do with their numbers or their business model or anything else. It's truly just personality and stick to itness. Right. That's what it is. And it's, I see a lot of that when I work in previous fields, right? You sit down and you work with people that they come in, they punch a clock, they sit down and they're trying to rack up overtime in order to make more money. And you sit and you try to explain to them, no, you can grow your own business, right? You can make your own money and sort of that entrepreneurial mindset. And there's a type of person that'll get it and take it and run with it. And then there's a type of person that just, they'll never get that. And every once in a while you run into that personality and somehow they started a business. And that will be a really difficult environment to grow a business over time.
How long do they usually last?
Some people can force it, right?
Gotcha.
And they can force it for 30 years and it's a grind. It's miserable. They're never going to be happy.
And what's the key factor that we're talking about here? Like, we were talking about persistence, but is it something else?
No, I think it's persistence and drive and maybe just that ignorant optimism.
Gotcha.
Right? It's, you can punch me in the face 100 times. I'm still going to smile, get up and do it again.
Yeah.
And so maybe it's stupidity, right? Yeah. Maybe we're just too dumb to fail. But it just, you see the glass is half full, right? You're always thinking about the next step and you're always trying to come up with a different way to generate business. That's what it takes, I think, to be successful.
Gotcha. I think that's a great place to end. I appreciate you coming on my show. I don't know what I'm going to call this show yet. Roam with Roamer interviews or something like that. I'm going to stop saying smash that like button. I'm going to start saying, for now, roam over to that like button, hit it. If you guys didn't like this video, don't let Chris know.
Yeah.
He'll get upset, but appreciate you, man.
Thanks.
Dope sells like the charge do, but selling's all about potential. And money speaks, then I'm the main act.